Hajime no Ippo is one of my favorite anime manga series of all time. It is through the high-skill sport of boxing and the various characters that author George Morikawa is able to paint the perfect picture of what it means to be talented. Talent is one having a natural aptitude or skill, and in this case, a talent for fighting. Many characters showcase their talent in various ways, be it speed, power, or an all-encompassing ability of fighting in general. What I love about Hajime no Ippo is that it uses talent in a way that reflects the real world. Talent alone doesn't guarantee success in the same way that hard work doesn't guarantee fulfillment. The main character Ippo starts off as a bullied boy who has never thrown a punch in his life. Throughout the show, we follow his journey from a schoolboy to a fully fledged professional in the pursuit of strength. One of Ippo's best character traits, and arguably his talent, is his dedication and love for the sport. There is not a single moment in the show that goes by without him spending time towards furthering his craft, even during his breaks away from boxing. It can be argued that Ippo has innate talents special only to him, but I think Morikawa was trying to display a character with driven motives. Beyond this, Ippo is technically behind his peers and typically lacks in terms of strategy and adaptability. Ippo pulls through many of his fights by relying on his hours of preparation and sheer willpower. I definitely think his body is a talent in and of its own, with how fast he was able to learn professional boxing, as well as the insane physical feats he's capable of pulling off. However, Ippo's strength and hard work cannot compare to an all-encompassing talent like that of Takamura. Unlike Ippo, Takamura represents what it's like to possess both talent and dedication. The combination of Takamura's hard work dedicated towards his skills and his natural gifts propel him above those at the top. The different phases of talent and hard work are shown in Takamura's first two world-class fights. His first match against Brian Hawk is the representation of natural talent. Brian Hawk is just some random-ass dude from New York that has the ability to hit from any position and dodge punches from any spot possible. His talent far surpasses Takamura, being a complete beast in his own realm that doesn't even need to train. This talent is displayed even more so by his wild personality and the way Morikawa depicts him as some sort of animal. His character is the pinnacle of talent, a being that can stand at the top simply by existing. Without Takamura's own innate talent, he would not even be able to contend at the world level which he is at now. The second match against David Eagle is the display of a pure boxer. A man who has perfected the most simple and basic punches and combos into his biggest strength. Both of these matches are great because they highlight the two broader types of talents that the series tries to make a big idea behind. The talent that one is born with through Brian Hawk, or the talent of hard work in Eagle, and Takamura, who possesses both the innate talent and dedication. Hajime no Ippo, similarly to other shonen stories, tries to emphasize the idea and importance of working hard. However, the series doesn't shy away from the idea that working hard alone isn't enough to reach the top. Kimura Tatsuya is one of the supporting characters in Hajime no Ippo and has been around since the very beginning of the series. However, he's never had the opportunity to relish in the glory of being the champion, and alongside his goofy duo Aoki, remain outside of the spotlight with mediocre careers. The times in which we get to see Kimura and Aoki shine are pretty short-lived and end up just serving as more comedic scenes with no real conclusion. That is until the fight for the championship match occurs against Mashiba Ryo, giving Kimura an attempt to reach Japan's belt. This hour-long special in the anime is a perfect highlight of Kimura, as well as one of my favorite character tropes in all of anime and manga: those who work hard but have no talent. Kimura is a person who lacks both the natural talent for this sport and the dedication and hard work of someone like Ippo. However, in the Kimura and Mashiba fight, we finally get a chance to see Kimura put his all into something. His last attempt and effort made to grasp Japan's belt before he decides to completely quit and give up on boxing. Through this fight, we finally get to see Kimura's passion and love for the sport. Despite his mediocre record, it is the sport he's dedicated his life to and something he's never given up on.
ボクシングが好きなんだ。だからこれだったら誰にも負けねえって自信が欲しい。何より好きなことに打ち込んだって証が欲しい。
The way the match is framed makes the stage set in a complete underdog fashion. Given the title of the Execution, Kimura is made a stepping stone for Mashiba to reach greater heights. Not only does the build-up reinforce Kimura's character, but also the characters of those around him, like Aoki, who has been boxing with Kimura since the very beginning. Aoki's stress of being unable to assist his friend in the match and his desperate attempts to provide support feel real and go beyond the character that was once just meant for cheap laughs. The scene of him begging Miyata to spar with Kimura is probably my favorite showcase of Aoki's character and the real bond that the two have. Despite them both being average boxers, I could care less about their progression through the sport, but rather the connection the two shared through their journey. It is throughout the short time before the match that we explore more into Kimura's identity as a boxer and how it is reflected through his abilities. Kimura is just a normal dude with no specific talents or abilities that shine above others. In the spar with Miyata, Miyata points out that Kimura has no weaknesses, but also no outstanding strengths. What I love about his struggle in the build-up of the match is the realization of his normalness, and the despair that follows with it. Through his efforts and ingenuity, Kimura is able to learn a new skill, and push his limits training tirelessly to perfect it. It's this training that I loved, and his struggle against the beast that is Mashiba that made me fall in love with his character, because despite the overwhelming odds with no guarantee of success, Kimura struggles anyways, aiming to overcome his natural limits. Thrust into the match against Mashiba, Kimura is hit with the cold reality of the gap between the two. Mashiba lays upon an onslaught of fists relentlessly as Kimura acts as a sandbag, refusing to fall down. This level of endurance, which he is usually incapable of, is due to the fact that this is his last sprint, to leave the sport he loves with no regrets. Eventually, due to the fatigue Mashiba accumulates after his flurries, Kimura is able to close the distance and start his long plan. He lands body blows into Mashiba, throwing shot after shot into his abdomen, waiting for Mashiba to lower his guard. Despite the overwhelming difference in power and the very low chance he has of succeeding, he still holds on and bears the pain of each round, because the pain of 3 minutes is not comparable to the 5 years he's spent up to this moment. Mashiba is not an easy opponent, and though he is easily susceptible to hits, it's his grit to succeed, similar to Kimura, that keeps him up. What this fight highlights isn't only the despair of a dead-end boxer like Kimura, but the talent and hard work of the champion. Fights like this don't show the gap between hard work and talent, but rather the gap between talent and those without it. At the champion level and beyond, every fighter either has a unique natural ability or an extraordinary work ethic that becomes a kind of talent in and of itself. The series doesn't just show hard work as a substitute for talent, but as a necessity even for the naturally gifted. I love this realistic depiction of talent, how hard work can narrow its gap, but also how talent can act as a powerful amplifier and push some of those even further ahead. In boxing, victory and defeat often come down to the smallest of margins, and for Kimura, that margin was just 3 centimeters. Kimura falls short, his body unable to keep up as his championship dreams slip away. What makes his character so compelling is that despite all his effort and how close he came, he still doesn't make it. The haunting feeling of regret and failure gives us a glimpse not just into the brutal world of professional boxing, but the reality of adversity. The feeling of failing after pouring everything into something is devastating, yet it's also inescapable. I love this portrayal of failure because it doesn't shy away from the idea of loss. Many shonen stories like to emphasize the importance of working hard and how if you never give up, you will succeed eventually. I love Kimura because despite all his efforts and pouring his whole being into the fight, he wasn't able to close the minuscule gap to reach the belt. This portrayal of limitations, the idea that not everyone can reach the top, is somewhat reassuring. Reassuring in the way that failure should be normalized, that not everyone can succeed in this world and that's okay. I can still appreciate his journey because it still provides closure to his character and that the truth of reality is often far from idealistic. What I disliked about Kimura's character in general was how he was portrayed after his loss against Mashiba. He continues to struggle as a professional and gets more chances to reach the belt, but is never able to attain the same performance he was once capable of. I assume this is the way in which Morikawa tries to show how those without both talent and hard work can't succeed no matter what, but it was kind of disappointing because Kimura was able to show the determination and drive similar to that of the main character Ippo, who is arguably a man built off of training. Although his continuation in boxing has been criticized and can be seen as a pointless addition, I still enjoy this short OVA for what it is. It changed not only Kimura's character for me, but what it means to succeed or fail and the struggle of effort against natural limits. At its core, Hajime no Ippo doesn't romanticize talent or make it seem like a shortcut to success. It places equal, if not greater, weight on hard work and mindset. And yet, it's Kimura who remains unforgettable because he's the underdog in its purest form, a character without the safety net of talent, whose every victory, no matter how small, is hard-won. His arc is sobering, especially in a genre where perseverance often leads to triumph. For Kimura, his story lacks the triumphant payoff, and his journey seems to hit a wall. The narrative doesn't give him an easy way out or a sudden revelation of hidden potential. Instead, it acknowledges a difficult truth, that some people, no matter how hard they work, might never reach the goal they set.